Every day, I crack open another story from the Golden Age, peeling back the curtain on moments that shaped an era people still can't stop talking about. If you want these memories to stay alive, hit subscribe. It costs nothing and keeps this whole time machine moving forward. Thanks for staying locked in. Now let's jump straight into it. In Hollywood, there's an unspoken rule that every rising star learns the hard way. You could survive a public scandal. You could battle personal demons. But one mistake you could never come back from was crossing Johnny Carson and his Tonight Show empire. Johnny Carson wasn't just a smooth talker behind a desk. He was the godfather of American television. One nod from him could flip an unknown into a household name overnight. One cold look and even a shining career could disappear without a trace. And some people found that out the hard way. We're talking about the insider who owed Carson everything, then turned his back after 20 years of loyalty, the tough guy singer who barged into a dressing room making threats, the phonies, the ego-driven bullies, and even so-called legends whose attitudes exposed who they really were. Today, we're ripping the cover off a quiet Hollywood file to expose 9 people who broke the ultimate rule and paid the harshest price Johnny Carson could deliver: total erasure. No invites, no mentions, no mercy. First on that list is Joan Rivers, the chosen one who crossed the line. During his 30-year run atop late-night television, Johnny Carson was treated like an uncrowned king. Thousands of stars passed through his studio, but only one woman was openly treated like family. The heir everyone assumed would take the throne. That woman was Joan Rivers. Their bond looked like a Hollywood fairy tale in real time. Back in 1965, Joan was still grinding, barely getting by as a comedian trying to find her lane. Then she stepped onto Carson's stage, delivered one explosive set, and Johnny himself wiped away tears of laughter and said on live television, "You're going to be a star. You are terrific." That one sentence flipped her whole destiny upside down. Johnny didn't just praise Joan Rivers. He took her under his wing and opened doors nobody else could touch. He mentored her, protected her, and handed her the rarest honor in late-night television: permanent guest host. Whenever the king stepped away, Joan was the only one trusted to sit in that power chair. America watched it happen and truly believed she was his spiritual child. But when trust runs deep, betrayal cuts even deeper. By 1986, fear crept in. Joan worried NBC might push her aside for younger faces, fresher energy, new blood. That fear drove her to make a move that would change everything. She quietly signed a deal with rival network Fox to launch her own show, one that would go head-to-head with Johnny himself. What crushed Johnny Carson wasn't ambition. He respected that. What made his stomach turn was the secrecy, the backroom deal, the silence. She negotiated behind the back of the man who built her career from nothing. The real sting? Johnny was the last to find out, learning the news through headlines instead of hearing it from someone he trusted like family. To him, that felt like a blade to the chest. The moment that sealed the fate of their 20-year bond came through a short, brutal phone call. Joan dialed Johnny's private number, hoping decades of loyalty would soften the blow. Her voice shook as she tried to explain. Johnny didn't yell. He didn't explode. His voice stayed calm, cold, distant, unfamiliar, like a stranger on the line. "I heard you got your own show. Congratulations." Click. That was it. Johnny Carson hung up without letting her say another word. There was no argument, no second chance, no talking it out with Johnny Carson. The moment Joan chose secrecy and signed with a rival behind his back, she erased herself from his life with her own hand. From the second that phone clicked dead, Johnny delivered his harshest punishment: total silence. Joan Rivers was permanently banned from The Tonight Show. No exceptions, no forgiveness, ever. Her name vanished from the airwaves. Her past appearances were locked away. Even when her solo show crashed hard, even when she faced deep personal loss later in life, Johnny never cracked. For 19 long years, that wall stayed ice cold until the day he died. Joan Rivers became Chapter 1 in Carson's unwritten blacklist, a warning carved in stone. With Johnny Carson, mistakes could slide, but betrayal meant you stopped existing. Next up is Wayne Newton, the flashy Vegas heavyweight. Known as Mr. Las Vegas, Wayne Newton was pure showbiz shine. Big voice, perfect hair, signature mustache, non-stop swagger. He ruled nightclub stages, but that polished image made him an easy target for Johnny Carson's sharp late-night humor. In the early 1980s, Johnny turned Wayne into a regular punchline during opening monologues. He poked at Wayne's image, his style, and rumors floating around his personal life. Night after night, the studio audience laughed it up. But back in Las Vegas, that laughter felt like disrespect stacked on disrespect. Wayne tried to play it cool at first. He reached out quietly to producers, hoping the jokes would ease up. Instead, they kept coming and hit even harder. Johnny saw himself as untouchable. In his world, the throne came with the right to roast anyone. But Johnny underestimated the man behind the glitter and spotlight. Wayne Newton wasn't just a performer, he was a proud, battle-tested figure in the nightlife world with serious backbone. And that kind of ego doesn't stay silent forever when it feels cornered. One afternoon, after hearing yet another insulting joke on television, Wayne Newton finally snapped. Enough was enough. He didn't call a lawyer. He didn't alert a manager. Wayne Newton got in his car and drove straight to NBC Studios in Burbank, alone and heated. With his fame, security barely slowed him down, and he walked straight into the backstage area, a place most people never see. This wasn't just any hallway. It was Johnny Carson's inner sanctuary. Inside his dressing room, Johnny was calmly reviewing the script for that night's show. Then the door suddenly flew open. Wayne Newton stepped in without a smile, without charm, without warning. The room went ice cold. Before Johnny could even greet him, Wayne rushed forward. According to Wayne's own later account, he grabbed Johnny Carson by the lapels and pinned him back in his chair. The sparkle was gone from Mr. Las Vegas's eyes. What stood there instead was raw fury. Leaning in close, Wayne made it clear this wasn't a joke. He reportedly said, "Listen here, Johnny, I don't care who you are. If you make one more joke about me, I won't sue you." His message landed hard, face to face, with no audience laughter to soften it. Johnny Carson was stunned. In all his years at the top, no one had ever confronted him like this, especially not in his own space. Johnny looked into Wayne's eyes and understood something instantly. This situation had crossed into dangerous territory. Johnny hated physical conflict and knew when to pull back. He nodded. Wayne released him, fixed his jacket, and walked out just as coldly as he had entered. From that night on, Wayne Newton's name vanished from Johnny Carson's monologues. No jokes, no mentions, total silence. But Johnny Carson always played the long game. He didn't argue. He didn't retaliate publicly. He used the quiet power of media control. Wayne Newton was erased, blacklisted. The doors of The Tonight Show were shut to him for good. For any performer, losing access to America's biggest stage meant a serious hit to fame and income. And next on the list, Chevy Chase, the arrogant bad boy. If the Joan Rivers story felt like a heartbreak and the Wayne Newton saga played out like a tense showdown, the Chevy Chase situation hit different. It was a straight-up lesson about attitude. This was the clearest proof that in Johnny Carson's world, raw talent meant nothing if your character was trash. You could be funny, famous, and flashy, but without respect, you were done. By the mid-1970s, Chevy Chase was everywhere. He was the breakout star of Saturday Night Live, riding high with movie star looks and a reckless, confident vibe. People saw him as the new wave, bold, fearless, and unpredictable. At first, Johnny Carson was intrigued. He thought he might be looking at a future leader of late-night comedy. But that honeymoon ended fast. Johnny, with 3 decades of experience and sharp instincts, quickly saw through the shine. Behind Chevy's cool exterior was a personality Johnny couldn't stand. Not playful confidence, pure arrogance. Not charm, straight bully energy. Unlike comedians who cracked jokes to lift people up, Chevy often used humor to tear others down. He walked into NBC like he owned the place. Backstage, he disrespected staff, snapped at makeup artists, and mocked assistants like they were beneath him. Johnny Carson treated the crew like family. To him, everyone mattered, from executives to cable pullers. When complaints about Chevy's behavior started piling up, Johnny quietly took note. No explosions, no lectures, just mental check marks. And it wasn't only backstage. On air, Chevy's attitude stayed loud and clear. Sitting across from Johnny, he leaned back, stretched out, and acted superior. He gave short, dismissive answers. He broke Johnny's rhythm on purpose, trying to prove he was the smartest guy in the room. Legends like Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra always showed respect. Chevy Chase acted like his appearance was a favor. What really sealed it was the cruelty. Chevy openly mocked other performers, taking shots at their looks, their weight, or their career setbacks. Johnny Carson built laughter without stepping on people's pain. He believed comedy should punch up, not tear people apart. Johnny didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He didn't embarrass Chevy on air. He simply stopped extending the welcome. And in Johnny Carson's kingdom, silence spoke louder than any argument. Just like with Wayne Newton, Johnny Carson picked a punishment far colder and way more frightening: oblivion. No public ban, no paperwork, no announcement. Johnny simply leaned over and quietly told producer Fred de Cordova, "I don't want to see this guy anymore." And just like that, the doors of The Tonight Show closed without a sound, while rising stars like Steve Martin and Robin Williams kept getting invited back, becoming regular faces and watching their careers explode thanks to Johnny's spotlight. Chevy Chase slowly faded out. His phone stopped buzzing. The invites dried up. He was pushed to the edges of Hollywood's most elite circle. That kind of silence from Johnny Carson hit like a knockout punch. It sent a clear message across the industry without a single word spoken. This guy has an attitude problem. Chevy's film career still had momentum for a while, but his reputation followed him everywhere. People talked. Doors closed quietly, because you can be the funniest person in the room, but if you treat people wrong, you'll eventually be standing alone. Next comes Jim Garrison, the man who turned conspiracy into performance. In the late 1960s, America was still shaken after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Confusion filled the air. Fear lingered. Then Jim Garrison, the New Orleans district attorney, stepped forward, claiming he had explosive proof of a hidden plot behind JFK's death. He presented himself as a truth seeker, a hero, a man ready to expose secrets no one else dared touch. Johnny Carson, though known for entertainment, was sharp-minded and deeply aware of current events. Out of curiosity and a desire to inform the public, Johnny bent his own rules. On January 31, 1968, he invited Garrison onto The Tonight Show and gave him an unusually long segment to lay out his case. But that night, Johnny quickly realized he had made a serious mistake. Garrison walked out, confident and polished. But the moment Johnny asked real questions, "What's your concrete evidence? Who exactly are you accusing?" everything fell apart. Instead of solid facts, Garrison waved blurry photos, vague theories, and loose claims aimed at government figures. He dodged direct questions. He rambled. He talked in circles. Johnny's eyes narrowed. Something was off. It became clear Garrison wasn't chasing justice. He was chasing attention. He was using America's biggest stage to push fear, boost his name, and sell his story. What truly lit Johnny up was Garrison's disrespect for the audience. He assumed loud claims and shocking words would fool millions. But Johnny Carson wasn't buying it. Mid-show, Johnny flipped the script. He stopped being a friendly host and became a sharp examiner. He interrupted. He pointed out contradictions. He challenged the logic right on air. Garrison started sweating and stumbling as his story unraveled live in front of the nation. When the cameras shut off, Johnny felt played, used. He believed exploiting a national tragedy for personal gain crossed every line. Offstage, Johnny told his producers, "Never let that man back here again." Jim Garrison was permanently banned. Though Garrison kept making noise elsewhere, NBC's most powerful door was slammed shut in his face forever. To Johnny Carson, he was nothing more than a conspiracy salesman, unfit to share a stage with honest voices. Then there was Uri Geller, a case that hit Johnny on a personal level. He wasn't violent, he didn't betray loyalty, he crossed a different line entirely. He disrespected the craft Johnny loved. Before becoming television royalty, Johnny Carson was a practicing magician under the stage name The Great Carsini. He respected real skill and clean illusion. But what he couldn't stand were performers who sold tricks as supernatural powers and played the audience for fools. And that insult, Johnny never let that slide. In the early 1970s, Uri Geller was everywhere. The man was a global sensation. This Israeli performer claimed he had telepathic powers, bending spoons with his mind, fixing broken watches, even guessing drawings sealed inside envelopes. Crowds bought it completely. The world swallowed it whole. But Johnny Carson? Not for 1 second. In 1973, Uri Geller accepted an invitation to The Tonight Show. He walked into NBC feeling untouchable. Every other show had treated him like a miracle. Hosts gasped, audiences clapped, and no one asked real questions. Uri thought this would be another easy win. What he didn't know was that Johnny had already set the trap. Before the taping, Johnny quietly called James Randi, a legendary magician known for exposing fake psychics. Randi gave him one simple, deadly rule: use your own props. Don't let Uri or his team touch a single item before airtime. Johnny followed that advice to the letter. NBC staff prepared fresh spoons, jars, and envelopes under strict watch. No prep, no tricks. When the cameras rolled, Uri Geller stepped out, confident and flashy. But the second he saw the props laid out on the table, his smile cracked. These weren't his usual setup. Johnny, calm as ice, leaned forward and said, "Come on, Uri, the stage is yours. Show us your power." And that's when everything fell apart. Uri grabbed a spoon, rubbed it, focused hard, even grimaced for effect. But nothing happened. The spoon stayed stiff, not even a twitch. He moved on to the sealed envelope challenge and failed again. Sweat started pouring down his face. Most hosts would have saved him, changed the subject, cracked a joke. Johnny Carson did the opposite. He delivered the coldest move a host could make. He let the silence eat him alive. Johnny leaned back, tapped his fingers, and watched. No rescue, no distractions. The camera zoomed in as Uri struggled, panicked, and unraveled on live television. Finally, Uri started making excuses. "I don't feel strong tonight. There's too much pressure. The energy isn't coming." Johnny responded flat and calm. "Well, that's a pity. We're still waiting." And the silence continued. That moment dragged on for 22 brutal minutes, an eternity on live TV. The audience shifted. Viewers at home caught on. It became clear there was no miracle without setup. By the end, Uri Geller's powers had completely vanished. He left the studio embarrassed and exposed. While he later continued performing elsewhere, Johnny Carson had done what no one else dared. He pulled back the curtain. To Johnny and sharp-eyed viewers, Uri Geller wasn't supernatural at all. He was just another illusionist selling magic as something it was never meant to be. Milton Berle, the king who couldn't let go, and the awkward silence that followed. On Johnny Carson's long list of problem guests, Milton Berle stood out as a strange contradiction. He wasn't an enemy, he was a legend. Known as Mr. Television, Milton Berle was America's first true TV superstar back in the 1950s. He was the man who convinced millions of families to buy television sets just to watch him crack jokes. On paper, the meeting between Johnny Carson, the reigning king, and Milton Berle, the former ruler, should have felt like a respectful passing of the crown. Instead, it turned into a quiet war of egos. Milton's biggest issue was simple. He never accepted that his era was over. When Milton walked onto the Tonight Show set, he brought old habits with him. loud energy, constant movement, and a non-stop hunger for attention. He either didn't understand or didn't care about Johnny's unspoken rule. "This is my house." Johnny was the host. Everyone else was a guest. At first, the tension showed up in small ways. Milton constantly had a thick cigar in his mouth, puffing smoke everywhere. Johnny coughed. He frowned. The audience noticed. But Milton kept going like nothing mattered. What really got under Johnny's skin was Milton's habit of hijacking the show. Anytime Johnny tried to speak or interview someone else, Milton jumped in. He pulled faces, winked at the crowd, pretended to fall off his chair, tossed out tired jokes just to steal focus. In Milton's mind, Johnny wasn't the host, he was background noise, and that crossed a serious line. Johnny Carson had one rule he never bent: don't invade his personal space. Johnny valued boundaries. Milton ignored them completely. Milton patted Johnny's shoulder, slapped his thigh, even poked him mid-joke to help land a punchline. Each time, Johnny stiffened up. His smile tightened. His eyes flashed with barely hidden irritation. The breaking point came when Milton actually tried to correct Johnny on how to do comedy right there on air. He critiqued the script and acted like he still ran the place. That was it. After tapings with Milton Berle, Johnny would retreat to his dressing room drained and annoyed. He told producer Fred de Cordova, "This old guy wears me out. He sucks all the air out of the room." And then came the quiet decision: stop inviting him. Out of respect for Milton's legacy, there was no public ban, no drama. But his appearances slowly faded, then stopped completely. Johnny didn't argue. He froze him out. Next came a different kind of nightmare. If Milton Berle and Wayne Newton exhausted Johnny with noise and aggression, the next guest tortured him in a far colder way: total silence. Raymond Burr was adored by TV audiences of the 1960s and 70s. He was the face of justice, the unbeatable lawyer Perry Mason, the sharp-minded detective Ironside. On screen, he was commanding, articulate, and powerful. But behind the scenes, that silence? It was deadly. So when NBC announced that Raymond Burr would be appearing on The Tonight Show, expectations were sky high. Viewers were ready for sharp stories, behind-the-scenes secrets, and wisdom from a television giant. But both the audience and Johnny Carson were about to learn a brutal Hollywood truth. A brilliant actor does not automatically make a great guest. Raymond Burr proved that the hard way. He was deeply private, stone serious, and completely humorless. The interview between Johnny Carson and Raymond Burr is still remembered as one of the most painful mismatches in late-night history. From the second Raymond sat down, the studio felt like all the oxygen got sucked out. Johnny Carson came in smooth as ever. He tossed out open-ended questions, dropped playful jokes, and tried to warm things up. He nudged Raymond toward backstage stories, acting tales, anything with life. What came back were answers so short they felt icy. Yes. No. I don't think so. Johnny asked if playing a wheelchair-bound character was challenging. Raymond replied, no. Silence. Johnny tried again, steering toward personal life. What do you do in your free time? Raymond stared him down with that Perry Mason glare and said, I grow orchids. Full stop. Johnny started sweating. For a talk show host, dead air is the ultimate enemy. Johnny's job was to keep the conversation bouncing, but with Raymond Burr, it felt like throwing a ball at a wall that absorbed everything. The audience shifted uncomfortably. The tension spread fast. Johnny cranked his energy to maximum. He tapped his pencil, glanced at Ed McMahon for backup, and even joked about his own struggle just to squeeze out a laugh. It felt less like an interview and more like pulling teeth. Raymond Burr sat there stiff and unmoved, never rude, just painfully dull. And in Johnny Carson's fast-moving entertainment world, dullness was the worst crime of all. After escorting Raymond off stage, Johnny collapsed onto his desk, pretending to faint. The audience laughed, but the message was real. He later joked he'd rather endure dental surgery than repeat that experience. Raymond Burr wasn't blacklisted for bad behavior. He was respected and admired, but professionally, he was crossed off Johnny Carson's short list. He simply didn't know how to play the late-night game. Next came Ryan O'Neal, the snobbish prince of the 1970s. After the massive success of Love Story, Ryan became Hollywood royalty overnight. Blonde hair, crooked smile, and a dangerous charm made him the ultimate heartthrob. When Ryan O'Neal stepped onto The Tonight Show, the studio audience went wild. They expected warmth, wit, and movie star magic. But Johnny Carson felt something off instantly. Unlike humble legends like James Stewart or Cary Grant, Ryan walked in with an edge, a cool arrogance, a sense that he was doing the show a favor just by showing up. And that vibe, Johnny Carson never ignored it. "I'm too classy to sit here." That was the energy Ryan O'Neal brought with him. He didn't see the interview as a moment to connect with the audience. He treated it like a dull chore he had to finish just to promote a movie. Ryan dropped into the chair, stretched out, lifted his feet, and let his eyes drift around the studio like he was scouting for an exit. Once the interview started, Johnny Carson's nightmare kicked in. Johnny asked about the new film, and Ryan shrugged. "It's okay." Johnny asked about his personal life, and Ryan snapped back. "Nothing special." Johnny tossed out his trademark jokes to loosen the vibe, but Ryan didn't crack a smile. His face stayed cold, stiff, and uninterested. This wasn't awkward silence like Raymond Burr's. This was arrogance. Ryan made Johnny feel like a court jester trying to entertain a bored prince. His body language screamed, "TV talk shows are cheap, and I'm doing you a favor just being here." Johnny Carson took his work seriously. He respected the craft, the audience, and every second on air. So Ryan's lazy, detached attitude felt like a slap in the face, right there in Johnny's own house. The breaking point came when Johnny realized Ryan wasn't even listening. He stared at the monitor, checked his hair, adjusted his collar, and barely acknowledged the questions. That wasn't showbiz tension. That was basic disrespect. After the taping, Johnny didn't blow up. He didn't rant. He just shook his head and said to the crew, "Who does this guy think he is?" Then came the quiet verdict. "If he doesn't want to be here, don't invite him back." From that moment on, Ryan O'Neal became a rare sight on The Tonight Show. As his film career cooled in the 1980s and his reputation took hits, the chances of him returning to that chair vanished. Now for the biggest shock of all, Bob Hope, the legend who never needed an invite. If you watched TV in the 70s and 80s, you saw Bob Hope on The Tonight Show all the time. On screen, he and Johnny laughed, traded jokes, and looked like comedy partners. Behind the scenes, totally different story. Bob Hope wasn't banned because he was untouchable. He was NBC's golden asset. But privately, he sat at the very top of the list of guests Johnny Carson never wanted to see. To Johnny, Bob Hope represented exhaustion and artificial comedy. Bob didn't come to chat. He came armed with a thick script written by an army of writers. Every appearance was preloaded. Johnny would ask, "How's your health lately, Bob?" And Bob wouldn't answer. Instead, he'd fire off a memorized joke about politics or golf, completely ignoring the question. Bob Hope didn't listen. He waited for Johnny to stop talking so he could launch the next punchline like a pre-wound machine. For Johnny, a master of timing and real conversation, interviewing Bob Hope was mental drain. Johnny felt less like a host and more like a stand holding Bob's promotional material. The audience laughed hard, but they never saw the strain in Johnny's eyes. The staff knew the truth. Johnny's smile around Bob Hope was his fakest smile. He smiled out of obligation, not joy. Off camera, Johnny complained to producer Fred DeCordova, "I can't take it anymore. He's got nothing new. He's not talking. He's performing on autopilot." But Johnny was trapped. Bob Hope was too powerful. Worse, Bob had a habit of inviting himself. When he had something to promote, he called NBC executives directly, and Johnny had no choice but to make room. Every time Bob Hope left the stage, Johnny exhaled, loosened his tie, and shook his head. He respected Bob's legacy, but hated how he turned conversation into a one-way routine. Bob Hope closed this chapter as the most ironic figure of all. He was the only guest Johnny couldn't remove, and the only one who never reached Johnny's real respect. 9 chapters, 9 names, 9 hard lessons. From Joan Rivers' betrayal, to Wayne Newton's confrontation, to Chevy Chase's attitude, to Ryan O'Neal's arrogance. They were all stars, but none survived Johnny Carson's sanctuary. Johnny's chair wasn't just a seat, it was a truth detector. Talent could get you there, but respect kept you there. Like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you want more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age.